Mr. Chair, we're not going to take any lessons from the opposition in this regard. They're the government. Sorry, I didn't hear the question. Can you repeat, please?
Okay. We'll stop the time. The question was about 20 seconds. We'll go ahead.
Yeah, so in 2018, it was reported that the Royal Canadian Air Force recommended the government replace their fleet of private jets with used private jets that cost between $12 to $18 million. That's far less than the $100 million that was spent through the sole source contract. Could you please explain why the government chose the more expensive option?
Once again, I want to remind the honourable members to place their questions through the chair. Just a reminder. The honourable minister.
No, Mr. Chair, when it comes to supporting our women and men, we committed to making sure that they have the appropriate equipment that they deserve. These aircraft are required for very important things, such as evacuation of Canadian Armed Forces personnel, repatriation of Canadians, such as people like Pastor Lam from North Korea. And
I'll go back to Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence.
Thank you very much for the great correction, Mr. Speaker. I appreciate it. And I would also like to, though, inquire through you, Mr. Chair, why the military has given 40-year-old F-18 planes while the Prime Minister is going to be flying around in brand new sole-source private jets.
Good question.
The Honourable Minister.
Mr. Chair, we committed to making sure that our Canadian Armed Forces were funded, and that's exactly what we're doing. But the Challenger fleet has been transporting parliamentarians from all stripes. In April, the fleet transported the Leader of the Opposition and his entire family to attend the emergency session in the House of Commons, Mr. Speaker. These planes play a very important role.
We'll go back to Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Lawrence.
Thank you. The hypocrisy of this Liberal government knows no end. The Prime Minister said to our soldiers, our brave soldiers who are out in the front line, helping us through COVID and throughout the world, that they were asking for more than he was prepared to give. Yet, he won't replace 40-year-old jets that he got from the Australian government. However, he is perfectly happy to be flying around in these brand new private jets. Once again, why was this contract sole source, and why does the Canadian military mean so little to that Liberal government?
Minister.
Mr. Chair, we're not going to take any lessons from the opposition in this regard. They're the government that actually cut $2 billion per year when it comes to the Deficit Reduction Action Plan, the strategic review. Our defense policy makes sure that it's fully funded, and we're going to be not only replacing all our jets with brand new aircraft, Mr. Chair, but also all the other aircrafts, whether it's our search and rescue, and also the Challenger fleet, Mr. Speaker, because our women and men deserve the right and new equipment.
The honourable member, Mr. Lawrence.
This Liberal government, but no action. Today, we still have our brave soldiers, our brave airmen, flying F-18s that are 40 years of old. Over 40 years that they bought from the Australian government. Once again, when will the government realize that spending money on our military is great money to be spent, and it shouldn't be spent on brand new private jets when used ones would work perfectly well?
The Honourable Minister.
We are committed to making sure that our Air Force personnel have all the right tools, Mr. Chair. And we were making sure that we make the appropriate investments for our people. If the Conservatives were so serious about this, they would have replaced the jets a long time ago, but they didn't, Mr. Chair. We will.
The Honourable Member, Mr. Lawrence.
I'd just like to ask the Minister if he's aware that the Liberal government has actually been in power for the last 5 years. And move on from there to ask the government about the role that certainly has happened. Liberal MP Mark Grinstein said recently, reawoken a conversation that the National Heritage Minister brought up, that we should be licensing or we should be controlling the media. Will the government commit to not regulating the internet and all media?
Well, Minister.